Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Okay, so this is a free show. This is what you get for free. This is why you want to sign up for Patreon, because you don't want to be getting this crap for free.
Well.
So this free show, if it ever comes out, is we were doing a segment of Virtual Hobby Shop number 15, which was aired in May of 2017. And one of the segments we were talking to Tony Cook, Model Railroad News editor and confidant and man about town and all those things. I don't know how I came up with confidant. That sounds kind of strange, doesn't it? So anyways.
Esquire.
Yeah, Esquire, yeah. So anyways, afterward, I learned my lesson once, because we have Bruce Kelly, Superfan number 1. Oh, Chris Atkins is online now. I should see if he's home.
Ooh, yeah.
We have Bruce Kelly, Superfan number 1. We have Mike, the Spoon Ostertag from Green Bay, Wisconsin, the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. And we have Tony Cook. So anyways, I started the recorder again because I know this. It happened once to me before. You guys started talking, and it was really interesting. And I thought, I didn't record any of this. So now you guys can talk all the way. You were going to ask a question there, Mike, about an auction that Tony went to in Excelsior. Is that what you said?
Excelsior Springs, Missouri.
How big a town is that?
It is a resort community northeast of Kansas City. There's a big hotel resort there. I guess there were the Springs, hence the name, was a place that the railroads took people to as a getaway way back. You'll see pictures of Wabash, Rock Island. A number of railroads had trains that would take you for like the healthful rejuvenation of the Springs or something. I've seen,
right,
like ads and things for. Now all I can tell you is there's a good barbecue place there, so that it's rejuvenating. The burn-ins are that good.
Is it anywhere near St. Joseph?
No, that'd be on the opposite side and further north.
This was northeast.
On the northeast of Kansas City.
Near Chillicothe?
It would almost be in between. If you do a straight line from Kansas City to Chillicothe, it'd be kind of in between.
Oh, okay. Near Bramer.
Yes, yeah.
It's a pretty small place than this Excelsior Springs. It is, isn't it?
I mean, it's a small town, but it's close enough to Kansas City that it, again, is kind of a bedroom community. I mean, it's closer to Kansas City than I am, so it has more of the, like Walmart's, restaurants, and
yeah. Okay.
More, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So, Mike, were you going to ask him a question? No.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Did I wake you up? I apologize.
No, you didn't. But no, you started talking to me right as my son's girlfriend was getting ready to leave. So I was just saying goodbye. Being polite.
Okay, well, we can all say goodbye to her if you want.
Oh no, she's gone.
Okay.
What I was gonna say is that you never know what you're gonna find at these auctions. And there's a guy that I work with who went to one of these, and it had a speeder car in it. And he picked up the speeder car for $500.
Oh, holy moly.
Wow.
Turned around and sold it to a guy in Texas. And this guy he sold it to in Texas went and completely restored it back to full operational condition. And someplace I have some photos of it, or I can get a hold of the guy and get some pictures of it at one point, and it's absolutely gorgeous. It's just amazing. Like I say, you never know what you're gonna find, and nobody knew that was even in his. It was like a barn deal. Nobody knew it was even there. Yeah, $500 for a speeder car. Can you imagine?
Wouldn't that be neat?
I wonder how much did he sell it to the guy that restored it? Do you know?
More than $500. I am not exactly sure on the complete details of how much it was. All I know is that it was a significant number more than 500.
How much do speeder cars go for these days?
It depends on the condition. You can get one for $1,500, and you have to fix it up. But then somebody has a decent one that's a run of the mill, might be 7,000, and then the more rare they are or the more unique they are, the higher it goes.
Okay.
And also a lot depends on like the one that he had solid sides with doors on it. It didn't have the canvas. Wow. Yeah, it didn't have the canvas sides. So that adds to the cost.
Yeah.
It had a multi-speed transmission to it.
Wow.
It was actually a really kind of for a speeder car, high tech.
Yeah.
So
what was the road name?
I believe he redid it in Canadian National, and I'm not 100% sure if it was an old Milwaukee Road one or Chicago Northwestern, but it was redone in Canadian National in the orange, not in like some goofy, gaudy, modern scheme. It was like like a CN maintenance away scheme.
Speeder car.
Cool.
I wouldn't mind having.
Cool.
I always thought having a speeder car would be kind of cool. I always thought that would be cool, especially if you had one of the ones with the doors on it and the whole 9 yards, where you could be out of the elements and all that.
If you had a place to go and run it on a regular basis, it would be cool.
Well, have you never heard of Narco?
Yeah.
Have you ever? The North American Rail Car Operators Association?
Yeah. They go all over the place.
They go all over the place. Here's the excursion calendar. I'll give you the excursion calendar. Let's see here we go. 2018. All right. So in April, look at this. It's April 7th, 8th. They were there. They went to the Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern Railroad. And April 15th, they were in the Western Railroad Museum and Niles Canyon Railroad, and they go all over the place.
Yep.
So I think you should get a speeder car, Mike, and then we'll all ride on it with you.
Sure. That's a great idea.
They got a weird calendar here, though. I went to their calendar, and it's the excursion car. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's hard. I gotta do it right. Okay, so let's see what's coming up. Oh, in Florida, Eustis, April 20th to the 22nd. In Eustis, Mount Dora, and then towards Sorrento. I know that whole area. And I'm up north, and it's down there. Well, that's annoying. All right, so they go there's everywhere. There's places everywhere. I have a friend that had a couple of speeder cars, and he was always making trips. And I was supposed to. I almost made a trip on the Old Western Maryland with Barry Silverthorne from, the video thing that I was on for a while. What's it called? Train Masters TV. I was supposed to go do a whole documentary about speeder cars with him, and then somehow just at the last minute it was a no-go, so I missed out on that. That would have been cool. So there you go. So so they're all over Nevada and Oregon. Albany and Eastern Railroad.
Yeah, there should be one that goes out to Coos Bay, I think. They do it once a year.
Pacific Rail Car Operators are running on the former SP station in Lebanon to Sweet Home. Does that make any sense to you, Bruce?
It's got to be somewhere towards the east, out of somewhere around in the Willamette Valley somewhere.
Okay. And they don't weigh that much. They're just all put them on a trailer and away you go.
Yeah.
No big deal. I think that's what we need, the AML speeder car.
Don't they have one over at don't they have one at Rochelle?
A speeder car?
Yeah, don't they have one on display at Rochelle?
I think so, but I don't think it's the AML one. The AML one would
could become it could become the AML one.
Well, then that would be vandalism. We're not like that. Come on.
Never said anything about vandalizing it.
Well, how could it become one? We got to paint it up in AML colors and put the big AML symbol on it and the whole 9 yards. That'd be cool. That's it.
Never mind then.
Yeah, exactly. So what else? And this is also just okay. So Tony, what I was going to ask you, That's what I was going to ask you when we were doing the other thing, but we only had 35 minutes, and you didn't get a chance to take a breath. So was there some item that was just jumped right out at you that somebody stole for like next to nothing? Or was there some item that was people were bidding on it like crazy?
There was that, and it's the same as when you see things occasionally on eBay and think, wow, that guy paid how much for a Tyco New Haven plug door boxcar that's worth $1?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So there were times I would see people, I think there was an old Bachmann American 440, painted up as a Jupiter from the Gold Spike, set that those came out in 76, and looking at it was the tender driven older model. And it was in okay shape, but I think somebody said they did have a loop of track set up so you could test things, and they said it either didn't run or didn't run well. It's like, that's probably how it did back in 76 too, when it was brand new. So yeah. And I think bidding on that went over $50.
Ooh.
And it's like, oh, I wouldn't have given you more than $20 for that. The other thing that surprised me, it was not necessarily a model train item, but the like the telegraph, the Morse code, little metal,
Right.
little. There was one of those, and I don't know if it was legit, real, where it came from. It was just sitting on the table with the locomotives, and I had to just pick it up and look at it. It was on about an index card sized piece of plywood, and it was the little, silver metal, like telegraph or whatever the Morse code type thing for sending signal. Mm. And again, I don't know if it was just a reproduction or what it was, but that went for like $60, and two people were just crazy for it. And again, it's one of those things that I thought, maybe $5 somebody might buy it for the heck of it. And I even mentioned to the auction guy after, I said, out of all of this, the thing that surprised me the most was that little Morse code telegraph. He goes, yeah, I couldn't believe that either. He said, I almost didn't sell it because I knew it wasn't a model train item, and that it was sitting there, and I was going to put it, I guess they had some antiques or other things for a future auction. So I was just going to throw it in that and didn't. And it ended up on that table. So I kind of auctioned it for the heck of it. And yeah, it went for a lot of money. So there were those kind of surprise things of, really? You're going to pay this much for, there's nothing here worth that. And then when they would get the high bid on the table to watch the things they'd pick first, it's like, nope, that's not the good thing on that table, but have fun with that. A lot of it was just scratch your head surprise, but basically the way the prices went, there wasn't anything that I absolutely was like, man, I really want that. But there wasn't anything I didn't get, essentially. There was a set of I think they may have started out as True Scale, and then they become Train Miniatures Work Train. And then when Walthers buys the Train Miniature assets in the early 80s, Walthers issued them for a while, and they were in 2 box sets of their silver painted Santa Fe lettered, and it's like the work caboose and ballast car, that kind of thing, where each set has 4 or 5 freight cars in it. And I think that there was another guy that did tell me he was an eBay seller, and he was basically there to buy things to resell them. And the work train sets were they got thrown on the table with the structures. And I did want to pick those up because I don't have sets of those train miniature toolings. And I think I pushed that guy to like $25. And it was high bidder gets to pick a set. And I thought, well, I'll take, because they're both different. It's like 1 and 2. They're not duplicates. So it's like, well, whatever it is, so it'd be $50 for the set, which would still be cheap. But I stopped at $25, and the guy got both those. So that was about the only item that got away from me. I just got to figure out how you find out where these, and I said, do you get train stuff like this very often? I assume you don't. He said, oh, you never know. He said, but yeah, generally not like this. We don't get where it's an entire auction of nothing but train stuff. So I'm not sure if there's like a website service or anything that you can go search, find auctions in your area sort of thing. I don't know. But that I would like to know because, yeah, it was fun, and just the whole, wow, what a deal.
I was talking there and my mic was on mute.
Oh.
And I thought it was really rude that you wouldn't, every time I started talking, you just kept talking right over top of me. And I'm thinking,
Well, you
thinking,
should have known something was wrong.
I,
You obviously should have known there was technical difficulties. That Tony would never be like that.
well, I was about a minute or two into it, and I'm thinking. Then I glanced over. I'm thinking, am I on mute? And sure enough, I was. I was on mute. I had coughed, and I had turned it on mute, put it on mute, and then left it there. I was just.
Are you going to take back? Are you going to take back all the rotten things you're saying about me? Like, when is this guy going to quit talking?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking, I don't care if this goes on the air or not.
Exactly.
I just had a great idea, and Bruce and Mike back me up on this if this is not a great idea. And I'm giving this to White River Productions and Tony. Don't even tell them where you got the idea. This is yours. You own this idea. I'm just giving you this idea. It's like a gift from me to you. What in Model Railroad? What do you call it? Model HO Collector Quarterly. HO Collector Quarterly. You could have a section in there or a little listing at the back of these auctions, if you could find them.
If you can find them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we list train shows. It's in our other publications because they're monthly and it's online. If you go to railfan.com, and timetable is the tab to hit, and you can find train shows, all around the area. But auctions, I've never seen us list those, and I don't know. I don't know what the lead time is on those either.
No, Mike,
as far as getting them into print. If somebody, again, this was an estate auction, so
yeah.
How quickly do people act on that stuff of, well, this person passed away, we got to sell this stuff.
Right.
Is it going to sit here for 6 months or 6 days, or I don't know.
Tony, could you excuse Mike and Bruce and I for just a minute? We're just going to have a little meeting. We'll just be over in the corner of the room. Have yourself take the time to get yourself a bottle of water out of the fridge.
This happens to people in the Trump administration all the time. So I'm going to get on the phone now to NBC, see if I can get lined up for the Sunday morning program, talk about how this happened to me.
So Bruce and Mike, I don't think he thought my idea was that great.
No, I didn't think so either.
No, that kind of went over like a lead balloon. I thought I'd really hit one out of the park, and I think it was just a foul tip right back into the catcher's mitt.
Man,
I just think there's no legwork that it's too difficult. Maybe that's what it is. It's too hard.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah. All right, Tony, we're back.
Too hard.
Oh.
So
great idea, Lionel.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Thanks.
great idea.
Thanks. I had another great question. What was it going to be? I can't remember what it. Oh yeah. Seeing as how we're just killing time and we're just talking anyways, and nobody's going to want to hang up, and we'll end up talking about something really cool. First off, Excelsior Springs High School is the home of the Fighting Tigers. Just in case anybody was interested. And you can buy a narco-ready speeder, ready to go, CN1 on MT19, I think it said it was, for $3,500. Narco compliant.
Yep.
And this is a decent looking thing, ready to go. New wiring, new everything. Only the really fancy ones have a turntable underneath them. And you hit somehow you throw a switch or pull a lever or something, and this turntable drops below the car and lifts the car up, and you can just swing the car around and go in the opposite direction. Like if
a lot of pieces of maintenance away equipment have that.
Do they?
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah, even today a lot of regulators and I'm not sure about the tampers necessarily, but I know some regulators do, and a lot of the smaller equipment, just a little drop table, it just drops down, it lifts up off the rail, and just spin it around Armstrong style, and line it back up with the tracks, and plop it back down, and lift the table, and off you go.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've seen those speeders with that. So that's a pretty modern thing now then. Tampers and without tampers.
Because didn't they used to have like wood handles or metal handles?
Yeah, like the ones these speeders I'm looking at. These speeders I'm looking at for like $3,500, $3,000, $3,500 or best offer, $3,000 or best offer. They're really nice looking cars, like as in my brain's going, hey, you should get one of these.
What put them out of use? I mean, I used to remember seeing those all the time, and now it's high rail trucks, but there were trucks back then too. So why didn't they use high rail trucks back then? Or what is the era of the speeder? I'm guessing I don't remember seeing them much past the mid '80s. Why did they go away?
I think the speeder was like kept in a shed. So when they were responsible for a certain part of the track, they would drag it out. It would come out on a track, and then they would put it up onto the rails, and then they would go to where their specific area that they work to maintain the track.
It was a lot of territorial stuff.
Yeah.
I think timetable and train order, when that disappeared, you started to see a lot of them go away.
Then they started maintaining track by bringing crews in.
Yeah, instead of having one specific guy assigned to a section, like Bruce was saying, now they have 2 or 3 guys assigned to multiple subdivisions, all in one truck. I think it's just they were a victim of technology, honestly.
Yeah, the high rail trucks just got easier to use and everything like that, I guess, eh?
And yeah,
they could centralize everything.
Yeah.
Just drive down the road. They didn't have to disturb the rail traffic until when they got to where they needed to work on the track.
Yeah, just like anything else in the railroad, throughout railroad history, your telegraph operators and your station agents and all that stuff all went away when radios came. I've got a pack here somewhere in one of my file cabinets of Milwaukee Road radio train orders. They would actually give them via the radio. Well, if they can do it by radio, they don't need all the station agents to basically give out, hoop up everything along the subdivision, So eventually everything went away and went to track authorities or track warrants.
How often do they inspect track?
Daily.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of places on the main line, yeah, it's pretty much almost a daily occurrence. Or it's either daily or every other day, depending on
how much traffic they get and the condition of the landscaping that they go. Like I know that the Siskiyou line here, it's all mountains and everything and grade, so they send a truck out to check the track ahead just in case.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still territories. The sections still have territories. Like we have a section in Green Bay, but the track inspector could go all the way from Stevenson, Michigan, which is milepost 72 north of Green Bay, all the way down to Appleton, Wisconsin. That might be his whole territory. He might do Green Bay to Stevenson one day, and then Green Bay down to Appleton the next.
Right.
And then the day after that, he goes back to Stevenson. And it's just a constant cycle like that,
And what are they looking for? Just bad track, I guess.
Anything, any defects, anything. It might be a culvert that might be heaving up, because of, the frost coming out of the ground this time of the year. The culverts will heave up and cause a little bump in the track, so they got to put a slorter on for that until that settles itself back down. It could be, well, they used to call them sunk kinks, and now they're called a thermal misalignment. Get that. I still say sunk kink, but it's that's where the rail gets expanded because of the hot conditions. And mostly in the summer this happens, obviously, but because the rail will expand, and if it gets to a certain point, it's just like anything else. It's like a piece of string. If you push the two ends of a piece of string, it's going to bow in the middle, and same thing with a piece of rail. Just imagine a piece of rail is a big giant piece of string, and the heat expands everything, and the joints tighten up, and eventually it expands out. It doesn't happen a lot with the bigger rail, but the smaller size rail, your 75, 80, 90 pound, some 100-pound rail, it does that stuff, pretty spaghetti like sometimes. So
I've been searching while we've been talking. Ralph wants to know if we're online. I should tell him no.
Yeah,
Tell them yes, but we're talking about pan pastels.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll bring him in, and we won't tell him we're recording. We're recording. We'll tell him we're recording something really important, but we won't tell him it wasn't important.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm all hot and bothered about these Sudan kits on the yellow boxes. I remember those, but I can't. I've been searching while we've been talking. I've been searching online, and I can't find anything about them.
Nothing on eBay.
I haven't looked on eBay.
Yeah, that's where you're gonna find.
That's why I brought it up because but I thought if I Googled it, there would be some sort of mention. Am I spelling it right? I thought it was Sudan.
No,
Suydam.
Suydam.
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, and I don't know how you say it. Is it
not
Suydam? I've never heard anybody say it. I always remember seeing them as a kid in hobby shops. They always had a few of them.
Yeah,
and they were old then.
And they had they always had those kind of things where you think, oh, that would be kind of cool. It's something about model railroad kits where you look at it and you go, yeah, that would be kind of cool.
Exactly.
These were the ones you had to weld together or solder together, weren't they?
If you had the metal stuff, yeah.
Yeah, these were metal and like the cardstock, and I mean, there's basically no plastic or I think these kits date to the 50s.
Yeah.
If I'm thinking of that line, that they had like a neat modern UP or Santa Fe little passenger station, and I say modern for like post World War II. But yeah, those were always the pictures either in the Walthers catalog or the pictures on their boxes. Always kind of led you to think, oh wow, that's really cool. And then as a kid, I'd open them up expecting it to be, the same with like the Ambroid and the Quality Craft kits of, oh, this is Vertipack. I know those are those things that carry Vegas around. Wow. And this is a box of sticks. There's no Vertipack in here.
Is that the company that did the Purina? It was the Purina Co-op or whatever it was.
Yep, they had that, and they had the Perkins storage warehouse.
That's right. They did have that.
Perkins or Beacons?
That Purina kit. That Purina kit
Beacons, wasn't it? Or Beckons? Beacons? Beckons.
BERKIN. KIN. Yeah.
That Purina kit was, everybody built one of those. Wasn't that a requisite of being in the hobby back in the 60s?
Yeah. Probably was. Funny thing is I can't find a picture of it to save my life right now.
Go on eBay. You'll find a lot of them.
If Ralph Renzetti was here, we could ask him because he's really old.
Old as dirt.
Old as dirt.
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, it's Ralph. Ralphie Boy.
Hey.
Hey, Ralph, you may or may not be on the air.
Okay.
Because we're recording a show. We had done something else, and now I knew somebody was going to say something interesting, so I started recording it. So you know what? You coming on is what happens when you don't join Patreon. This is the kind of stuff you get.
Pardon? But I am a member of Patreon.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about all the people that are listening to us right now, because this is this will be a free show on one of the on one of the off Mondays. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, so then people say, so I'm telling people, see, this is what happens when you don't join Patreon. This is the kind of stuff you get. Ralph just shows up. We're looking for Sudan kits. Ralph, you remember those?
I do.
And is that how you say it, Ralph? It's Suydam. Is it Suydam?
I haven't got a clue.
We know that, but how do you say that name?
I think everybody says it differently.
WTF. I mean, what can I say?
Yeah. Suydam Railroad. HO model railroad trains on eBay. Yeah, there it is.
Just like the kit you were just talking about.
The ones I'm seeing, though, these are
the dog chow kit.
Yeah, the Purina dog chow kit. Everybody built one of those. But when I put it in, I was just going to say, when I put it in, it comes up with all kinds of brass Pacifica.
I think they did that too. Yeah, I'm seeing those as well. Yeah.
They did trolleys and stuff. Yeah.
The one thing I found on train auctions, the auction is actually closed. It was from 2 years ago. I don't know why it's still up, but 7 of these kits went for $25.03.
Yeah.
Weren't they almost that much
Yeah.
during the 70s
Yeah.
and the 80s?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, weren't they expensive kits
Yeah. For what we had, yeah.
for the time?
Yeah. I remember I always liked that. I'm looking at this. There's one box that shows a collection of pictures, and then they mark or circle what's actually in your box.
Right.
And that modern station, the Santa Fe one, I like. And I'm now looking at this lumber yard they have. I wonder how close that is. I guess it's not as close as I'm thinking to the Atlas kit. It's like, oh, did Atlas base their plastic kit on that? But that and the rail truck terminal was one I remember. I always wanted one of those for the little Athearn and Tyco 25-foot piggybacks. They were really neat. And the only one I ever remember, I think my dad and I built the diesel engine house that had the big clear windows in it, where it had like 2 tracks, and but they are a lot of those. The box they come in is the same stuff the kit's made out of. So the walls of the engine house are that same kind of cardboard that some of them are pretty crude.
Yeah.
Well, we have a kit in the store right now. It's selling for $45, and the sides are not cardboard. They're not wood. They're made out of corrugated metal.
Yep.
Wow.
So I found one here where I can zoom in on the box, and it was Suydam. How do you say it? Suydam building kit, an HO scale, and it's the Suydam, I guess, and company.
Yeah.
Box 55, Duarte, California, 91010. They were like, you're right, Mike. They were expensive kits back in the 70s. Like they were like you were buying something when you bought one of those, and then you'd get it home and you'd think, boy, this is going to be really cool, and you'd open it up and you're going, how am I?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What did I get myself into?
Exactly. Yeah.
Remember?
I'm looking at that diesel house is kit 522, and its printed label says 650. And then the one I'm seeing here on eBay has 650 with a line through it, then 585 with a line through it, and then $3.
Yeah.
But, and I
guarantee there'll probably be parts missing, and you
Probably
got nowhere
so.
to go.
And the instruction sheet, you can see a couple of metal Varney F3s in Union Pacific colors are parked inside the diesel house. But I remember being very disappointed with it because I really wanted that building, and we picked it up at some hobby shop in the St. Louis area. And as we got it open and everything, it was like, well, this is just cardboard. Like, this can't be right. And, and of course, Dad is like, that's what they are. And when it's all together, it'll look a little bit better than this. But it's like, oh, this is not what I thought at all. But that's the only one I ever remember building.
And they had these, it's got NMRA compliant thing on it, whatever that means.
Thank goodness for that. Then, you can take it home and be rest assured that you're not breaking into the laws.
I bought one when I was a kid, and because it was cardboard, I didn't buy any more. I thought, oh, I got ripped off.
Well, yeah, and remember there was a guy in Ontario, Ralph, that was selling kits. John, I thought the last name started with an R. And I mean, they were literally boxes of sticks.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can't remember the name of the person.
I have 3 kits here. I have the sawmill kit, combination Town Depot, and the day-night water heater kit company.
And who are they from?
And that one's corrugated metal. It's the Suydam or however you say it.
Oh, so you actually have 3 of the kits there.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's just start the video up and let's watch it build one.
Good luck with that one.
Let's do an auction.
Yeah.
I think it's impressive that they did import brass. I'm looking at it's an Illinois terminal, one of those center cab electrics, and it says made in Japan, and they list themselves in Duarte, California as importers. So wow, they went from cardboard buildings to importing brass.
Oh yeah, yeah, they were, yeah. So I mean, well, model railroading through the ages, there's always been manufacturers that turn it into a big deal that make a living out of it. Like it's not anything to be sneezed at, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna make it bigger. See if I can see. I want to see. I don't think that's working. I want to see the warranty. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I got it a lot bigger now. Oh. Let's see. It says this product conforms to all applicable NMRA standards. Warrant number 3.8 or 3B. That's pretty. So how much does yours have the cost on them, Ralph?
The sawmill is $24.95,
Right.
and the combination town depot is $35.95, and the day-night water heater company is $24.95.
And do you think you bought them new?
I believe I bought them off of eBay,
Oh,
and I
okay.
probably got them for a little bit less than that.
Okay. Now, do you think you'll ever build them?
Probably not, because the way kits are today with the new stuff with laser cut and all that kind of stuff, it's far superior than those things.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely collector's items, and
I mean-
if you get them at the right price, they're fun. I'm looking at the engine house, and its sides, it's got like corrugated metal stamped sides with the
Yep.
windows cut out. So that's kind of cool, and it shows
It is.
$4.25, and it's HO gag GAGE.
Yeah.
So even a better spin on being HO gauge, it's HO gag.
Oh, here's a trolley, a flat. Who you put this up, eh, Mike?
Yeah, I just kind of stumbled across this. But what's amazing is it's powered.
Really?
Yeah, it says right on the box, HO scale. It must be, according to the model number, it must be like their first offering or something, because it's model number 000. HO scale, powered, all brass scale model, just like what Tony was talking about, flatbed work motor.
A flatbed work motor, yeah. And it's a trolley. You know, it's,
Suydam and Company, Forte, California. Imported by $100.
and what is it? It's like some sort of trolley flatbed.
Work car or something. Work motor car.
Yeah.
They have a couple of those down at the TTC Barns down by Coxwell and Danforth area
Down there. Okay.
in Toronto,
Yeah.
and they use them in the subway to do elevated work.
Oh, really?
Because one of them has a hoist on the top. One of them's flat like that, so they can do work on their overhead lines.
This is actually kind of a neat little model.
It is a neat
It's
little
kind of
one.
a neat little car,
I wonder if they make it in
Or-
S scale and all.
whatever you want to call it.
It'd be cool if it was
I-
an S scale.
It's just cool because it's in any scale.
There you go. Atta boy. Nice cut. Nice. You got that on
He
the
wouldn't
first
ta-
bounce.
he wouldn't take the bait. You're trying to bait him there on the
You know,
upscale.
I'm learning.
And he took the nice, like, political response of it'd be nice in any scale.
Yeah. You know what?
They,
Actually, I'm kind of
diffused it.
I'm kind of annoyed at you, Tony, because when we did Virtual Hobby Shop number 14, I wanted you on there because I wanted to talk to you about, you had posted a picture, and can I ask this question? See, this could determine whether or not this show will ever get aired.
Mhm.
Can I ask the question about the July cover of Model Railroad News?
You can, because it's not done yet.
Okay. So was that an RS11, S-scale RS11 on the cover?
Oh, that's June. That's the June Model Railroad News.
I knew
we
that.
Just finished.
I knew that.
Oh, yes.
I was just testing.
That's the Amazing American Models S scale 1/64th RS11.
And is that a new model?
It's recent. That's, I think, their newest diesel. It's out. It's been out. I think maybe less than a year or something like that.
And how much is it?
Well, they make those in different ways. You can get the American Flyer high rail version AC, or a high rail equipped DC, or a standard DC. That's what I got, was the standard DC, and I think it's, I'd have to go to their website now.
All right. What do you know about
I gotta
this?
think
What do you
about
know
it.
about this, Mike? Because I got pretty excited about that. I got pretty excited about that cover picture.
Yeah, it's a
good
great
looking.
model. It's a great model. I like it a lot. I like the one that I have, even though I'm working on chopping the nose on it. But to answer your question,
$235, is the price for the DC scale wheel version that I've got featured on the cover, the Alco demonstrator with scale wheels. And then it comes with everything you need other than the Katie couplers that you tap and put in. And other than that, I thought it was tremendous. I tested it, ran it. It'll be on the cover of the June 2018 Model Railroad News. And then there's an entire profile inside the magazine on the RS11 where I talk about the different production phases, roads at bottom, chop nose, some of the other odd things like N&W's had single sand hatch fillers over the headlights instead of the two sand hatch fillers below the number boards and the notches. I go over all that and show pictures of the prototypes, and then I also go through the various models going back to the plastic Varney from 1968 that was made by Mahano in Yugoslavia, that I go through the various scales and models of RS11s that have been done since.
The Model Railroad News is more than just Model Railroad News. It's Model Railroad. It's railroad information. It's railroad. It's a monthly railroad encyclopedia for modelers. I like that line. Now that line you can use.
That's good. Now there you go.
Yeah. It's a monthly.
Yeah, I have virtually nothing negative to say about that American Models engine.
That's saying something.
And Mike,
it is actually.
I talked to Ron about it. I think you had mentioned you thought the truck spacing matched the RS3, which gets done a lot. I think Kato did that for the Atlas one in the mid 80s. The first RS11 that Atlas sells comes a couple of years after the Kato made, like 1983-84 RS3. So they kept that 30-foot wheelbase and reused it for the RS11, whereas it should be a foot wider so it could have a bigger fuel tank, which the new Atlas Classics, when it came back to that, they did fix that. But I measured the S-scale one. It is correct wheelbase. It's got a 31-foot wheelbase. He said that's the Jeep 9 frame, the metal, die-cast metal. So no, it is correct. And yeah, I think it's a good-looking model.
The only detail issue that I took exception with was the what do they call that in the intercooler, I believe that is the intake. It's solid in the back. It's that the vent, basically that vent on the top. They have like X's in it.
The round,
they have like a bunch of X's, and it should have some piping showing, instead of just those X's. It's a kind of a generic fix, but that's an easily corrected. If somebody wants to, if somebody doesn't want to, that's their personal preference, and they can do whatever the heck they want with it.
I think it met most. The only thing I think I had an issue with, the square on the long hood behind the cabin before you get to the radiator section on the early production RS11s. If you don't have dynamics, you've got 3 square screen like cooling intake grills.
Yep.
Towards the back, and then if you've got dynamic brakes, you've got 2 more for a total of 5 across that section, and then of course you've got that roof horizontal bar for the dynamic brake as well. They did theirs with dynamics. It's got those, but I think it has either 1 extra or 2 of them are next to each other. There's something in the row of the air intakes that I couldn't come up with a match on prototype.
NS, I think, had 6. The NSs were different also, though. The NSs they weren't inset. They were actually an external filter. Like I think they were like, I had a boxy structure on the outside.
Oh, the N&W, the N&Ws did.
The N&W ones. Yeah, the N&Ws.
They didn't at first. The equipment department was concerned about moisture, water getting inside the engine. They put louver boxes over, like if you took those boxes off, the square screens would be underneath. That was a fix for them, worried that it was going to suck in water, and they put louvers over those, which gave them that odd set of boxes down the side.
I mean, for anybody that's going to want to buy one of these, please do.
No, yeah, it's excellent
honestly
model.
Please do. It's an outstanding model. It runs very smooth. It is excellent. If you really want to have that much prototypical feel to it, you're not going to be disappointed. I created mine. I took mine from a high hood to a low hood, and I'm creating the Green Bay and Westerns 309 out of it. And it's very easy to work with. It's very easy to make the changes you need to with it. I think it's one of their best engines they've come out with in a long time.
It's really nice. I have their Jeep.
Yeah,
I have their Jeep 9. The three that I have now, I've got the Texas and Pacific blue and gray Jeep 9, the red and white Frisco U25B, and then this demonstrator RS11. And yeah, the RS11. I mean, they're all excellent models, but you can tell that one's just a little bit nicer. That they've got a good thing going there.
Seems and by the way, a little bit extra time to do some other things to it that they didn't do with some of the other ones, like little details to it.
Just a little slicker. But that vinyl, you should know that because of AML and knowing Mike that June cover of Model Railroad News, and that's the first time in the 7 or 8 years I've done Model Railroad News. In fact, this is my anniversary issue. I start my 8th year with that edition.
Right.
It only exists because of Spoon talking about S-Scale, got me interested. I bought my dad that birthday gift of that American Flyer set that was S, and then I thought I want some S-Scale.
Right.
And I got into it. So all of that, boom, exists because of Mike Ostertag, the S-Scale promoter, who wants more exposure for S. So there it is on the cover because of him.
So my little podcast here has influenced Model Railroad News to the point where, because you two guys made the connection, S-Scale is now on the cover. Mike?
On the cover.
Mike, do you realize what we've done here? Do you realize the enormity of what we've done here?
I don't know. I'm afraid to answer it, actually. I know how these things can get away from people.
No, but I mean, we've Model Railroad News is a well-respected publication in model railroading, and it's going to have an S-Scale RS11 on the cover because of the connection we've all made through the Modeler's Life podcast.
And I think that's amazing, because it's not about taking over market share or anything else like that. It's about exposure to options, and you never know. Listening to that Blair Koistra thing with him and talking about the Australian stuff. How many people do you think are going to look at that now?
I don't know.
And take a look at that, or at least check that out. And that's what it's all about, is kind of opening everybody's eyes to everything that's around, because it's not just black and white. This is it. There's so much out there. It's just, and I appreciate everything that Tony's been doing, and I'm hoping that that everything goes on and keeps on doing that, and everything we're doing with the podcast. The podcast isn't anywhere near done. I mean, I'm getting to it.
Yeah. Well, you got your order. You got your billing a little screwed up there, buddy. That's pretty cool, though. That's been the most fun thing about the podcast is connecting all the people. Like that's why. Go ahead, man.
Before you say this, there's yet another side factor to this. Before I got down this RS11 path, Ralph Renzetti and I traded, some stuff, that SPU 50, you'll remember, that Athearn.
Yeah.
And part of our deal, I picked up that Proto 1000 RS10, which is the Montreal Locomotive Works version of the RS11. And I've got a sample of it now, and we'll have it featured in the magazine soon, because suddenly that's something that's neat in doing the magazines as you start working with stuff, of how the pieces will suddenly fall into place of, oh, hey, yeah, and I can use that because there's a model that a lot of people probably have forgotten about or don't remember, that RS 1018 was done by Hobbycraft of Canada by Lifelike, and it's an RS 11 of sorts. So all of it kind of works in and fits together in ways that, again, that was not done with the thought of I need that model for that issue of the magazine, and yet now as it's come around, it's like, oh, perfect timing. I got that too.
Pretty cool.
Couldn't my computer went a little goofy for a second. I'm not sure if it was mentioned yet, but didn't the Didn't MLW do a variation of the RS11 with the RS18? Wasn't the RS18 very similar to the RS11 for the Canadian people?
Yeah.
Right. In fact, that predates. They're like almost a year ahead of Alco doing the RS11, that body style. The RS10s or 18s, I forget, and I'd have to look at my notes on that. But those come out ahead of the RS11, which is the first version of that 4-axle, short hood cab, long hood style that then, becomes very common. Same as EMD at the time was doing Jeep 7, Jeep 9, which became a standard, body style. But it actually strikes first with Montreal doing those about a year before Alco brings out the RS11. Then the odd thing, for Mexico, at the end of RS11 production, there are units made by Montreal Locomotive Works that are real RS11s with the notch faces that went to Mexico. So they do end up making some, but not for the U.S. or Canadian market.
So so American Flyer is Desplaines Hobbies, right? It's Ron Sebastian at Desplaines Hobbies. American Models.
No. American Models is out of Michigan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Ron Sebastian has. In fact, he just announced a new modern gondola for S scale is coming out, but that's not American Model,
Okay.
or he's not American Models.
So how long has American Models been in existence?
The 90s, maybe about 25 years.
Okay, and they produce a fair amount of stuff, don't they?
Oh yeah, take a look at the AmericanModels.com, their website.
I know.
And oh yeah, everything.
So here's a problem. They make an undecorated one, so now I'm starting to get excited.
You know what? That would look really good with the nose chopped as a CP unit.
No, I don't care about that. I have the Allegheny and Lackawanna Southern. That's my railroad.
Oh, well,
come on.
I'm just saying.
Well, I'm not doing CP. I'm doing the Allegheny and Lackawanna Southern. Did you ever read the cover of the February '94 edition of Model Railroader, or the November '96 edition? Come on.
Sure.
Get your head out of your ass. So they say on their website that you can get either the dual for $484 or what is dual?
The dual is two. Yeah, that I was wondering that too. Do they mean dual motors? And no, it's actually two. It's just a pair of powered. Yeah, that confused me a little at first too. Yeah, that's just a pair of powered units, and there's a slight discount for those.
So are there detail parts for S scale stuff, Mike?
Yeah, there's a lot of detail parts. Ron Sebastian down at Desplaines Hobbies has a S Scale America, who a lot of the scale cars and things like that he brands through. He's put out a whole. I'm looking at all sorts of them right now. I've got a ton of them sitting on my pegboard. All separate individual detail parts for EMDs, Alcos, a lot of first generation stuff. He's getting more and more into the second generation items. A lot of freight car details. He's got a GP7 conversion kit that will convert. It's basically the long hood of a GP7 to convert the American Models Jeep 9 into a 7. And I believe he also makes a GP20 long hood. And he makes short hoods and he makes a ton of different details. Brass handrails. He's got brass handrails.
The American
covered hopper.
Yeah,
all sorts of stuff.
I'm looking at the ribside hopper for American Models. Like, is that fairly easy to get?
The ribside hopper?
Yeah, like the 34 or 40 foot or the 34 foot ribside, coal hopper from like the 50s, 40s.
The 2-bay one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably just order it.
Like they have all kinds of paint schemes. Like,
Yeah.
and this is all for like there's a half a dozen guys in this scale, and they make all this stuff.
The thing
Yeah,
is,
for the 5 of us.
Yeah,
I'm surprised at the pricing on a lot of it, Lionel. I mean, when you look at, I just expected, because first of all, it's a smaller market, it's a bigger scale. I really anticipated it being a lot more expensive, and am surprised by it, that it's fun to pick up and collect. I think, what did I get that Frisco U25? Now it was on a, let's see, it was on a
I think they're
special
on sale
deal.
right now for. I think they're on sale right now for like
139.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say almost $150, right around 150.
Yeah, I got that U25B for $139.95.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome.
No, one of the things is the most modern covered hopper that they offer is that 3-bay covered hopper. Now that is the most. Well, I shouldn't say the most. That is the most modern covered hopper that they offer, that American Models offers. S-Scale America has the old 4,600 cubic foot center flow covered hopper that was popular in the late 60s, early 70s, one of the first center flow covered hoppers, 3-bay covered hoppers. They have that variation. Now you've still got a 30-year gap, 40-year gap where there's nothing else. You know what I mean? So I actually, that's when I did my Clemmy Co-op car. I used that Rock Island 3-bay covered hopper from American Models as my base because it's a low side covered hopper. Because we don't have a regular Pullman standard, modern day Pullman standard rib side cover hopper. This is the newest that we have. So that's the biggest issue with S-Scale, is that there's just too big of a gap between the generational gaps between equipment. So it's coming around.
So basically now, because of Modeler's Life podcast, if I stop doing the podcast, S-Scale is pretty much screwed.
S is going to die. So is N-Scale.
Yeah.
It will remain lost in the hobby.
Yeah.
It will.
All right. Well, I thought it seems like a cool locomotive. So it doesn't come. So you have to install. You have to put in a decoder, and you have to put in the sound and all that. But other than that, it's a pretty well produced model.
Oh, absolutely. And the really neat thing is there's a ton of room in there.
Oh yeah.
So you can put a bigger speaker in there. You can put a much bigger speaker and get more bass, where in HO scale it's a little bit harder to do that. You have these bass reflex speakers that you get and stuff like that, but in the S scale stuff, you can put a couple of them in there.
It's time for you to start building a layout, Mike.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
Enough talking, pitter patter. Time to put up, buddy. Time to do her.
It's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah. How you making out on the hamburgers for the picnic?
That's a good question.
Yeah, the cows, the steers aren't ready.
No, the steer's not ready yet. No, the cow's not ready. It's a work in progress.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to go check on the price or something, or Joy was going to find out, or something was going to happen. It's
happening. I'm efforting.
I'm
efforting.
You're efforting?
Yeah.
Wow. Efforting.
It's coming, the picnic's coming, buddy.
I know. We're good. We're in great shape.
Oh, are we? Okay, if you say so.
Yeah. For the shape we're in.
I got a poker chip made for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you better get the burgers, because I got a poker chip.
Perfect.
I'm very excited about my barbecue poker chip. The AML poker chip turned out really well, But I'm very excited about what I did with the with the barbecue poker chip. I might be able to send you guys a picture of it. I don't know. I don't know where it is. I have a picture of it on my phone, so that's good. Oh, I think I know where it is. I think I can send you guys a picture of it while we're talking, which is really
Is this a souvenir thing?
yeah,
This
it's
poker
really
chip?
cool.
Oh, okay.
It's really cool. So I was stumbling through the Daytona Beach. I'm always looking for something that I can. Half the fun of having the Patreon part is like making T-shirts and thinking about sending people T-shirts and the next one I got to make and all that and coming up with ideas. And I thought, boy, once you put a T-shirt in the mail, it's not going to cost you any more to throw in some stickers or some thing, right? Other than some goofball in a pair of cutoff shorts. A picture. So I'm stumbling through the Daytona Beach flea market, and there was a guy who had a booth, and his main thing was it was basically a golf booth. And the Daytona Beach flea market is huge, and it's a permanent thing. So people have permanent booths in there that are, stores for all intents and purposes, where they leave the stuff all the time. And it's like a mall with dirt floors is what it is. So, or a mall in a parking lot. So anyways, I'm stumbling through this flea market, and I come to this booth where this guy's got golf carts and all kinds of golf stuff and bags and balls and this and that. And then he's got this whole display of poker chips. And I got a Toronto Maple Leaf one, and I got a Pittsburgh Penguin one for the young gun, and I got a bunch of them. I got all, and they were like, a very reasonable price. And I thought, oh, man, how cool is that? So I got talking to the guy, and I says, well, can you do like custom ones? And he says, well, yeah, if you have a minimum order of 100. And I said, what do I got to do? And he says, well, you just got to make a design in a PNG and send it to me. So I went home and I started working on a design, and I came up with a really cool design, and now they're sitting there waiting for me to pick them up. By the time this thing airs, they've been picked up, and some people have them in their hot little hands. So it's really cool. So then then I went crazy and made a design. Once I got the first one figured out, I started going goofy, and I kind of started making all kinds of them because it was hard. I did it in Photoshop, and it was hard-ish because all that stuff, you got to figure it out. And then of course you go to YouTube and you'll put in, how to make a round circle because I'd already know how to do some Photoshop stuff. Like, how do you make a round circle in Photoshop Elements 15? And, you have to go through 10 YouTube videos to get to the guy that's going to tell you how to do it in a quarter of the time that everybody else tells you. And it's always like you're just looking for the 2 or 3 buttons you got to push, But you always have to go through all the videos of, so you want to make a circle, and this is a really cool idea because you could make a circle and you could make a badge, or you could put a circle on a business card, or you could have a circle. Say you're making a display for your business and you want a circle in the corner, or you want a circle on your website. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Just get to the friggin' circle.
I'm already there. I'm already sold on the idea.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Yeah. So just tell me.
You had me at circle.
Yeah, exactly. You had me at circle. So what we're gonna do is, okay, now you're gonna go to Photoshop Elements 15 on your Mac. It'll probably be in your applications folder. I've already got it opened. I don't know how to, So yeah. So anyways, finally I figured out how to do it, and it came out really, really cool. So let me see if I can find it to send to you guys. I'm going to see if I can find it, and I'll send you guys a picture, and you can get all hot and bothered.
By the way, Lionel.
Yeah.
Why was Barb giving you the cold shoulder?
Yeah.
I said
Oh, no.
I said the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
I said
Oh, boy.
I said
Oh.
my birthday.
It didn't start with hi, did it?
No.
His birthday was a disaster.
Was a disaster. I went next door to Bill, and after I said the word disaster, and I said, "This is what happened on my birthday," and he says, "Yeah, that's a disaster." And I went, yeah, that's all I said was, so because my birthday was a disaster, I'm going to go back to the Blue Jays game. And she goes, oh, you thought your birthday was all the work I went to was a disaster, did you?
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Are you still in the doghouse?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm looking at a good...
Flowers.
Yeah,
Flowers.
she's not a... She's actually, to back Mike up, she's not a flower person.
Aha!
Oh, you're beat.
I'm done. I really am. I'm seriously. I am in a lot of trouble. What's new with you, Ralph? What's new with you? Let's just do that and then we'll hit the road. What are you working on?
I just posted 4 pictures.
Yeah,
That's
well,
my latest.
This is audio, so nobody can see them.
But
This isn't YouTube.
I posted them for your benefit. I'm doing Santa Fe locomotives, SD40, and what the hell's the other one? SD45. Yeah. And I'm weathering the heck out of them.
Right, and who are you doing them for? Anybody or just for yourself?
For me, finally, for me. The SD45 is the Kodachrome scheme, and the SD40 is the, I guess you call it the blue bonnet.
Oh, okay.
And all rusted up. The blue bonnet, I don't have the fuel tanks on it yet because I'm still working on them.
And how long will it take you to do each locomotive?
Both of those were done over the past week and a half.
How many hours?
Probably about a grand total of 8 hours each.
Right.
Roughly.
So you do a lot of work in 8 hours. So like how many hours a day do you work on stuff?
Only after dinner.
Right. And so do you have dinner at 10 and then go to bed at 10:30? Like how many hours a day do you work on stuff?
A couple of hours.
Okay.
A couple of 3 hours, yeah.
All right. So this takes a couple of 3 hours to do then?
Each night. And amongst all the so-called honeydew list.
Right. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. Let's call.
There's the poker chip.
Okay. Let's call it a night.
Oh, there's poker chip. Oh.
What night do you want to call it?
Exactly. We'll call it a night. We're starting to lose. Mike, do you want to talk about anything, or should we call it a night on this one, or a show at the end of the show?
I'm good.
You're good.
First off, I have something to say.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Since Tony's here, I have to officially say thank you very much.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
What happened?
Surprise.
Should we not know what this is about?
Well, you sort of instigated it.
There you go.
Sort of. Sort of. You asked me how it went at Springfield, and I told you what I was looking for, and I couldn't find it, and Tony had it, and now I have it.
Oh, okay, cool.
The U50.
Oh, and right. And so what all? How much did you pay him for it?
Well, I can't tell you that.
Sure, you can. Or nobody's listening.
Yeah. No, you said this is going to be the free show.
Right, and nobody's listening.
I told you. I just told you, Lionel, if you'd have been listening, that we traded stuff.
I know you traded.
I mentioned that RS10. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried?
So I was thrilled to pick that up.
Have you tried to run that RS10?
I don't run
works.
anything. I'm a collector.
Yeah.
It works. I had to run it to make sure it didn't have a decoder in it.
Well, you could have given the decoder anyways.
Well, if it did, I was going to tell him it had a decoder in it, but I had to check it first.
Well, what difference does it make? You could have just given it to him and said, "Oh, hey, and it's got a decoder in it." You already worked me. You already beat me to death over two NW2s. What a sweet deal you got on those.
That didn't have decoders in it.
Right, but they're still I bet you I sold them at 25% of their market value.
No way.
Yeah.
You got good
Lionel.
Yeah.
Hey, Lionel, I do have one thing to say.
Well, yes, sir.
I would like to thank Bruce Kelly for not blowing up the world.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce, you've been pretty quiet tonight.
Yeah, I'm tired. I was at Microtrains today.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, doing pulpwood loads.
Working with Joe is hard work.
Oh, it is. It is definitely is.
Bru-
Oh,
Bruce,
Lionel,
did
go
I'm
on.
sorry, Bruce, did they get? Have you seen the thing I did on the IPD boxcar series in Model
Uh,
Road News? Is that out?
I don't know. I don't know if I have or not. I'm still trying
I
to get
think
acclimated from being back here.
I think that's what that one's out. That's the 50-foot incentive per diem car series that you guys did at Microtrains.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's in the April or May Model Railroad News. There's a whole section that's got pictures of the prototype cars and then the model cars, and there's a checklist at the end of all the models. But take a look at that if you get a chance, because that was a neat. I put that together based on that year-long series of those cars that Microtrains did.
What month is it?
I think it may be in the current issue. That's the one with the cab forward on the cover.
Oh, I haven't
which I
gotten
think
that
is
one yet.
May.
I haven't gotten that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what were you doing at Microtrains?
Well, I was casting pulpwood loads for a gondola.
So did they miss you while you were gone?
Yeah, because Joe had to do everything.
So how many days a week are you working there now?
I only work there 2 days a week.
Really? And is it still slow, or is it starting to pick up again?
I think they're still putting a lot of stuff out, and
Because you said at the high point they had 30+ employees.
well, they had more than that at one point.
Oh, I know what I want. I know what I want to talk to you guys about. I know what I want to talk to Tony about. I want everybody's quick opinion on this, and not your political opinion. I want your what's going to happen opinion. This whole thing with China and tariffs between the United States and China. How's that going to affect the model railroad industry?
That's a good question.
Yeah, you got to wonder. Yeah, I mean, in general, we could see. I mean, I feel like we went a few years ago in a real up mode where every other time things were announced, they were more expensive, and then that's kind of settled, and we've even seen a little kind of retraction of some of that. But yeah, I don't know.
It depends. Doesn't it depend on if that particular products are on the list?
Well, it
Yeah,
does,
I
but
thought
I
it
mean,
was only
in
I
general,
thought it was only
though,
certain markets that the
Yeah.
tariff was being put on, like metal and
Well, our
Soybean.
tariff, but then the Chinese are going to do the same.
right? Yeah. So far, I've not seen injection molded plastic miniatures. listed on the night I'm sitting there eating my dinner, and Lester Holt says, "Well, today China's announced." It's like, oh no.
Yeah, all our S11 models are.
Grab the remote, back up NBC Nightly News. What did he just say? No.
Okay, well, the only reason I asked, though, is the model railroad industry depends very, very heavily on Chinese manufacturing.
Yep.
yes,
Like, very heavily.
yes.
And I was just like, when it all started, it could decimate the industry. It could basically wipe it off the face of the planet. It could.
It'll bring the manufacturing up to Canada. Come on.
Except Engage.
Yeah, exactly. That was why when you said that, that's why that's what made me think about it, because I've been thinking about it a lot. You think about, Rapido or ScaleTrains.com or Bowser or any of these companies. They all make all their stuff is manufactured in China.
You're right.
And then all of a sudden I thought to myself, except for Microtrains, which makes everything in Oregon.
Everything but the motors for locomotives.
And they come from China?
They come from China. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're going to be doing rail cars instead of locomotives.
Yeah.
And so do you have an assembly line there?
Yeah, they have there's a YouTube video that Eric Smith has done, who's the husband of Vicky, who is the daughter of the one of the brothers. I can't remember which right now, but and it shows the factory, and it really basically starts in the front office where Joe is, and another guy named Steve. I can't remember his last name, but they do all the design work. This is what it's going to look like. This is what we want to do, and then it goes to the department that machinist, and they make the molds. And then there's a plastics department that makes all the parts using injection molding. And then once the parts are together, once the parts are made, they go to painting. So they either do spray painting it or pad printing. Then there's a secret room that does some printing. And then it goes to assembly.
So they do pad printing too, then.
Wait.
Yeah.
Why is it? Wait a minute. Why is there a secret room? Why is it secret?
Because the technique that they use to print on cars, all the manufacturers know what it is. It's just that we've always been told not to talk about it.
Right on. So Bruce. Now, if your higher ups are going to listen to this podcast,
yeah,
your name is Mud.
No, it's not
because you can't remember his name.
Yeah,
yeah. Actually, if you go to one of the past episodes, I think I reveal how they do it.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you can't remember his name.
Yeah, the guy's name, exactly.
Oh, it's one of the brothers, the Edwards brothers. Can't remember whether it's one of the other.
That's not good.
I'm not worried about
That's the way I'm going to start introducing you guys then from now on. It's like, okay, we got, what's the guy's name?
Do. Yeah. You don't even introduce us sometimes.
I know. I know.
That's a pretty good point.
That's the guy that the podcast review show. That's what he kept yelling at me about.
Yeah.
And the other thing he said, the other thing that really confused me, was he says, you've got too many people on your podcast. And I'm like,
oh, the guy from the podcast review
show said, yeah, like you should cut way back on the number of people that are involved in your podcast. And I'm like, but that's what makes it so good is all the different people.
Have you listened to his podcast? Have you listened to his podcast?
I don't listen to anybody's but mine.
Well, I listened to the first part of it, and it wasn't that great.
Oh, okay.
If you only had an option to buy fruit punch Kool-Aid and grape Kool-Aid, how long would it take before you got tired of fruit punch Kool-Aid and grape Kool-Aid?
Exactly.
That's why they make 60 different flavors.
Exactly.
You know?
Well, we're all
Same thing.
It's like we're having it's like we're building that show. What was that show with the guy from somewhere in Minnesota? We're in Busted Knuckle, Kentucky. We'll have to give everybody like a street. Like Bruce lives on Miller Avenue and Busted Knuckle, and then Ralph lives on Walnut Crescent, and the old Saunders place.
That's where Tony hangs out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when was this podcast review? How did I miss that? See, I missed the tremendous insurance battle of 2018.
Yeah.
And then now
you disappeared out when your dad got sick. You disappeared off the planet.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
And rightfully so. Absolutely. Although I will admit publicly on the air, and this is one of the free shows, I will admit that I was calling Tony every name in the book because he wasn't available. I was constantly, I was calling him like every 10 minutes, like, where are you? Where are you?
And rightfully so.
We were very glad to hear that all of a sudden your dad got dreadfully ill because of his heart and recovered quite nicely.
He's doing great, and he's been actually back at work a couple days a week, and
that's fantastic news.
That is,
yeah. So I mean, really, from double bypass surgery is doing awesome. So we're looking forward to our trip to Colorado this summer, which will be right after the NMRA show in Kansas City, and
not far long.
And we'll be out.
Not long.
The young gun and I are going over in June. I think it's June for the St. Louis RPM. Is the day before the AML picnic.
Yes,
so
in July.
Shane and I are going over and staying at my folks, going to the RPM, then getting up the next morning and driving up to Rochelle for the barbecue.
That sounds like a fun.
But yeah,
are you taking the Lincoln?
Shane called me and he said, I don't know if my truck would make it there and back. I said, well, I think my new Lincoln probably will. So we'll do that. So, and I told him to bring Brooke, and he said, I don't think she will, because I explained to her last year this was going to be a bunch of train guys watching trains, and then she seemed disappointed that it was nothing but a day of a bunch of train guys sitting around watching trains.
Yeah, I was going to say, she had so much fun last year.
She doesn't know this.
We will still keep, I said, cars got 4 seats. We won't take that much stuff. So even if she last minute decides, boy, I can't miss this excitement and fun, she can always go. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, she had so much fun last year. I'm surprised she's not coming back.
I would think she'd have this planned out. And
Yeah,
no.
have a ward.
He said he didn't think so. So I said, well, all right.
Yeah, she was like, she was about, and in fairness to Brooke, I don't blame her, because I felt the same way about an hour in. I was like, I'm ready to go.
So, Lionel, did Joe send you a picture today?
Did Joe send me a picture? I don't think so.
He was supposed to. John Signor, the guy that we go down to do operations in Dunsmuir,
Right.
was down in the Stockton, San Jose area for some sort of operating weekend.
Right.
And the layout that he had a picture of, his name is Jim Diaz, I think it's Diaz.
Right.
Western Pacific. He had a photo that he had sent to Joe, and Joe didn't send it to me. He sent me the words, no photo, of a guy that's standing by the layout with a AML T-shirt on.
Really?
But
we
couldn't see his face.
Okay.
And he had his hands crossed, so you couldn't really see the logo. We just recognized it based on the color and everything else. But Joe was supposed to send you the picture, and we're going to try and find out who the guy was.
Yeah, we'll post it. You know what? We'll post it on the Facebook page, and then we'll go with this. We'll have this search for the guy.
Find out why he had it
AML's
covered.
most wanted.
Yeah.
Yes. And ask him why he crossed his arms when they were taking the picture. He should have been.
And let's try to find out why people are listening to this. See if we can figure that out.
Yeah.
See if we can come up with some sort of logical reason. Why are people listening to this?
Yeah.
All right. That's an hour and a half almost. We've killed enough time, and and this is again. Okay. So, Bruce, can you give out the email address because you've been out to sea?
I've been out to sea. I'm all waterlogged and everything else. I didn't say, and I saved the world. If you want to contact us through email, our email address is modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with 1 L like railroad and not 2 L's like Kelly.
Perfect. And we have a website, modelerslife.com, and there you'll find a link to our Facebook page and a link to our Patreon page. And if you want to listen to this is a free show. And if you really want to torture yourself, you want to go and sign up at Patreon, and then there's a whole bunch more stuff. And then you'll eventually get a T-shirt and a poker chip and all kinds of stuff.
The real nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah, the real nitty-gritty stuff. Exactly. All right, that's it. Everybody, we need a way to sign off on this particular show. Other than what's something's Mike?
Yes.
What do you got?
I've got nothing.
You got nothing. Perfect. Let's leave with nothing. Everybody, 1, 2, 3. We'll all say goodbye at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye.
Get off my lawn.
That's my line.
We see thee rise, the true north, strong and free, from far and wide of Canada. We stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Oh, can we start the podcast now?